Yeah, that's what I was saying. Hello.
Oh, wait a
Yes.
minute.
Here we are.
Okay, no signal on TikTok. Hold on, the camera's not on that one.
No signal.
Wait, well,
Are we here? Are we in the
they're
cy-
here.
are we in
That
cyberspace
YouTube can
again?
see, just TikTok can't. Hold on.
I can't see what's happening.
He exists in the ether.
What's happening?
All right.
Steve, you have a 1 in 20 chance right now
Yeah.
of making $1 million.
Right. I'll take it.
I'm going to roll this.
What happens on the other 19 chances then?
You get nothing.
Yeah, no, all right, that's good.
I'm
Nothing
gonna
to lose.
I'm gonna roll this 20-sided die. We purchased custom SGU dice. It was very difficult because Steve and I are both avid gamers, and we're
connoisseurs of dice.
very picky about dice. Can they see us now?
Here we go.
Okay, so and we're zoomed out quite a bit.
This is the blue one.
Yeah, and we're zoomed out.
Oh yeah,
over
I'll
here.
zoom you much more in.
Okay, so we have 2 sets of dice here. This is like what I call, this is the sand one, right, Steve? This orangey looking one here.
Yeah.
All right.
This
I'm
is Mr. Sparkle.
I'm going to miss the sparkle. That's my favorite one. All right. Anyway, I'm going to roll this. If we get the SGU 20, I will give you $1 million.
Okay.
And if we don't, you get nothing. You get nothing, sir. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay.
You lose. Good days.
Now I wonder what it is. You want to double down?
No.
Okay.
What?
All right. I rolled a 4.
You want to
Okay.
ask you dice?
That doesn't mean anything.
Anything at all. All right. I'll give you the same deal with this die. You ready?
Yeah. 13, baby.
Lucky 13.
Lucky third.
So these orange ones, they pick their colors very wisely because these orange ones have a blue tint around them.
Yeah, it's like I think it's like it's an orange. Look, you see it better on some of the other ones. I think that the resin is blue, but there's an orange thing embedded in the middle of them.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good effect. So you have sort of this rim of blue around this orange core.
Yep.
Makes it very, very nice. And they roll well, as you like say. They have good bite.
Yeah, they don't roll far, which is what
Yeah.
you want. Okay.
That's good. The perfect amount of rolling. They don't go across the table.
Anyway, welcome to
Hi, everybody. So
December. Wait,
hello.
doing the intro.
Okay,
December. No, wait, that's 12, 11, whatever. 1 p.m. on a Wednesday. Today we're going to talk about
Stuff and things.
GMOs. Are you ready for that? Excited? GMOs. Don't trust your eyes. I have a couple things that they don't even know what's going to happen.
Cool.
Some fun videos. Not a con 2025. Buy the tickets, and that's it. I don't know.
And then
some other
TikToks.
stuff. And the TikToks.
All right.
Yeah.
What?
What's happening? Okay. So anyway, Ian, I was talking about dice
Oh, rice.
and how
Die.
they, they bend into our reality. You want to know why?
Sure.
Because life is random, Ian.
Oh.
Life is very random.
But are dice truly random?
Yeah.
They should be.
They're-
Well, I
Well,
guess they're
okay.
as close.
You don't want me to get
So
technical
Evan,
about this.
yeah,
Evan.
Ian,
Ian.
when
Close
you
enough.
when you buy a set of dice that you're planning on using frequently, you could calibrate them in a way. You could basically roll. Say you take a D20, roll it a couple of hundred times, mark every result, and then do a statistical analysis to see that it's truly random.
I don't think 200 is enough, though.
Well, you can keep going. For a D20, maybe not. For a D4, it is. I like these D4 because they're.
Couldn't you just sand down an edge so it always lands on 20?
it wouldn't look good. Oh, yeah, but
so
you'd
that
see
you could
that.
cheat it?
You'd see
Oh,
it.
all right,
So here,
fine.
there's 2 different kinds of D4 here. Here we have the, what is this, the tetrahedron. It's basically 4-sided, and
That's about as non-random as you can get.
yeah, so it's the number that's on the top that you.
I mean, it
that
is
you
as
go
random
by.
as you can get.
But here's this one is not a regular solid. It's the only die in the collection that's not a regular solid. But I don't think the D10s are regular solids. Actually, now that I think about it, they're not. But it's asymmetrical, so it always comes up with one of the 4 sides on this side is going to be the upside. So this is a 4. I like that. I think that works better than the.
Wait, this camera
So
looks
Olivia
something.
asked, can we give a recap of the live events
Yes,
of this past
that's
weekend?
a good. Thank you for that.
This
Somebody else
past
asked about
weekend, we were in Washington, D.C., our
Yeah.
nation's
that.
capital.
How was DC? Kirk. Thank
It
you,
all
Kirk.
started with
Always
us
beautiful.
giving away a car to the person who traveled the farthest
That's true.
for the show.
Don't ask about it, though. Legally.
But we're just gonna take a while for us to deliver. No, all kidding aside. So we were at the Gala Theater in Washington D.C. That was for the private show. It was freaking awesome. I mean, the theater was. I thought the show was excellent as well, but the theater was great.
The private show was awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was good, definitely.
And it wasn't. We don't just record a live recording of the show. We also have an hour of extra content just for the live audience, which you can't hear about because it was just for them.
Yeah, we came up
And
with a
don't
new
even
bit
ask
that was a
about
lot of fun.
Yeah, we often try out new bits when we do that. And then we did an extravaganza in the evening, and that was a lot of fun. It's
Yeah.
always a lot of fun. We're always
Always.
iterating it, but it was still, we
But-
did a holiday-themed extravaganza.
That's right.
There's more to the story though, because
Uh-oh.
Bob did the funniest thing that he ever did during an
We
extravaganza.
don't have it
No, we
recorded.
don't have it. I'm hoping that somebody
Just
that
trust us. It was funny.
I hope that somebody, maybe somebody's listening, but I'm going to say it on the show tonight too. If anybody was there and you happen to record that, please send it to me, because Ian and I typically record those shows, and that night we didn't do it because we said to each other, we never do anything with these recordings.
Yeah.
Um,
I ended up starting to record with the backpack after the fact,
Yeah.
but then everything else was not as fun. No, I'm just kidding. It was great afterwards too, but this was a particular highlight.
but it was freaking so funny,
It was
that
funny.
that I laughed for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
off stage.
Yeah, it just crushed.
Wouldn't leave me alone. Where can I get those dice? Take my money.
Oh, it's very simple. Come to a live event.
Yep. Right now it is
Yeah.
live events only.
Somebody asked about that too, and I emailed them a very long answer, probably longer than they were
Yeah,
expecting.
they don't need
They're
that.
like, okay, just tell me yes or no.
There are different ways that you could manage swag. Ian's already exacerbated.
Yeah.
One is you can come to live events and we'll sell it to you live.
And that's
Yeah.
where all the good stuff is.
Right,
That's
that's all the
true.
good stuff is. We
The
also
hats.
have an online store that does print on demand.
Yeah.
Right, we have designs and you buy them, they print them, whatever that is,
Steve.
and they send it to you.
This guy's Steve.
Now, there's also
White guy.
you could also have online fulfillment, right? So you have a company that maintains your stock and will sell your stuff. We buy dice, we send them all our dice, and then they take the orders and sell them. We cannot do that because we do not have the volume to support that, because they charge you like a certain amount per month. They charge you a stocking fee, blah blah blah, and it's basically the expectation is that you'll have enough volume to offset that. I don't think we're quite there where we
Yeah.
could justify.
No, we're
we
not
would
there.
have to make a huge push and have like significant swag that we know is going to sell at a certain level on every month to month, in order to justify maintaining it. That's for like bands and like people who have millions of followers, whatever. So we're kind of in the gray zone there. I don't think we're quite there. The other way to do it is that we are our own fulfillment center. We keep a stock right here in SGO Studios. We take orders and we send them out. We did that for about a year and it sucked.
Yeah, it
And
was
we
terrible.
are not doing that
Nobody
anymore.
wants to do that.
There was a point where I was shipping out the new
Oh, the
books, the
books.
signed new books. Like we had a thing where
His
people could.
PTSD from it. It was a
And-
holiday special.
Yeah, so it was happening right before Christmas, and my God, oh my God, I went down to the freaking post office so many times that I got to know the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, what is this? What are you selling here? Like 'cause I
Yeah.
was going down. So I told him, we have a podcast. We wrote a book finally and everything. And the guy's like, a podcast? I'm like, yeah. He's like, he's an older dude.
There's a new concept to him.
So I had to tell him, real quick, kind of remind him, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I know what that is. Yeah, what's it about?" And I start telling him, and as soon as I started talking about the science, I just saw the glaze over his.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, okay."
And you get you either get like excitement from some people or you get the glaze from other people.
Yeah.
And it kind of says a lot about them. But yeah, occasionally if people really beg us nicely,
No,
or there's a
no.
special
Or
situation,
buy in
No,
bulk.
it's only buying in bulk. If you buy in bulk,
and
I'll
it's
ship
in bulk,
it to you.
and it's
Yeah.
in bulk, maybe we could be persuaded to mail you some swag from our studio. But we can't do hundreds of individual. We don't have the personnel
The bandwidth.
for that. Yeah. So that's it. That's where we are.
Figure
So
it
you
out.
have to either come to a live event or buy the print on demand stuff. But the really high quality,
Yeah, all
like
the best stuff is
like
live.
this,
Sorry.
you have to come to a live event to get the SGU
trucker hats.
dice.
Trucker hats. You know it.
We got new SGU mugs that I really like. They're very nice.
Yeah,
Coins.
I really like those.
Yeah, the coins
Of
are
our
good
SGU
too.
They continue to sell well. We're
People
running
love
out
them,
of
yeah.
our special. We have our SGU coin, which we will always keep in stock, and then we have special event coins that are collectibles because we do one run and that's it. We will never do another run. We have our 1000th episode coin and our Eclipse coin. I think we're almost out of both of them. We have
Yeah, the Eclipse coins, I barely could find any.
The Eclipse coins are the best. They were so
they,
cool.
They
They do look
sold
very cool.
very well
Yeah.
too. So they're almost gone. But you got to,
Glaze.
if you want to collect them all, you got to come to the specialty events. We have to have a 20-year coin, Jay.
It's true.
Oh
It's
my God.
happening.
20-year.
Can we not talk about that for
It's
That's
another?
coming up in May.
happening.
It's coming up in
Oh, 20-year. I'm sorry.
20-year.
And then the 40.
We haven't talked about that, by the way. We need to have, what's our 20-year event going to be? It's
I
going to
don't
be,
know.
unfortunately, right in May. I guess we can combine it with Nauticon.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, but why do that? Why don't we save it for another show over that summer or something next summer?
But that'd be after the 20th episode.
It's
20-year, I mean 20
it
years.
is the 20th year. You know
Well,
what I
we're
mean?
in the 20th year. We will have completed 20 years.
Yeah, so it's whenever we do it next year. It's fine. I think it's fine. Let's talk.
We'll
When
talk
will
about
there
it.
be a live studio audience? We have one. Look, right here. Thanks, studio audience. They're very quick to cut off the
Yeah.
clapping.
Yeah.
we
very
we
obedient.
can do a live stream for a private show,
Flogging merch.
which means it won't be a
Jeez.
private
Yeah,
show.
we're
It'll
flogging
be
merch.
something else. It'll be a
Well,
live.
you.
yeah, live show. You know,
It'll be a live
we really
show.
should stop calling it private shows. They're live shows.
Yeah.
We used to call it a private show when we had 10 people in the room with us. That really was private. But now we're just doing live recordings, you know, in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
We could do a live studio audience, or we could do a live virtual audience.
Yeah, we'll talk
Or-
about
yeah.
it.
Yes,
we
I
could do.
re-
Yeah, we haven't done any live studio audiences.
But we do need a live. We should plan also another live stream event.
Yeah, we're going to do one of those 6-hour, 12-hour, third, 24.
I mean, we could do
One
that
of
for
those
the
days.
20-year thing.
Yeah, that might be a good one. 20 years, 20 hours,
No,
plus 4.
I'll do that. I do 20 years, 20 hours.
no, I can't do that.
Yeah, you can sleep under the table.
Jay wants to
We'll
do
put
20
the-
years, 20 minutes. That's
20
what Jay
minutes.
wants.
We'll put the bed under the table.
20 hours is like just why do that?
Nah, it's
Why
easy.
do that?
20 hours is easy.
No, but I agree. The reason
send
why
Jay upstairs
the
to make
reason why
meatballs.
I agree we shouldn't do a 20-hour show is because that is reserved for our Patreon goal.
Oh, that's true.
Not until we hit
That's a good point.
what is it, 5,500?
5,500.
Where
We're
are
like
we?
at 5.
We're getting close.
Something like that.
We're getting close, and
And go to patreon.com/skeptics guide if you want to become a patron.
you can do it right now.
Do it right now.
Oh, a cool thing. I said
go
this
ahead.
a couple times, but in order for most people to hear it, I have to say it over and over again. So there's a new thing that Patreon came out with, and it's you can gift a patronage.
Mm-hmm.
So you could basically buy someone a present and say, "Hey, I bought you. You're a patron of whatever the creator is, for however many months they pay for it." I think it's cool. It's a great Christmas present, and you should consider it.
All right, let's talk about some actual skeptics.
Yeah, let's
Science
do some stuff. So there is
Science.
some. We could do some fun videos at the top if we want to just be light and have fun.
You want to do the
right there.
RFK Jr. one?
Well, we can. That was not the fun video at
Oh,
the
you
top.
have a fun video? Okay.
Well, we were talking a little offline about your eyes and what were you talking about? You were talking about the pointillism with the AI.
Yes.
Yes.
Whatever.
The question is, can AI art be truly original or creative?
Sure.
I think currently my answer is no, not currently. It's basically just basically reconstructing patterns that it learns from studying whatever billions of human generated examples. So and Jay was trying to say, well, he thinks we may be close to the point where it could come up with things that are entirely new or creative. And I think we are not close in that what we're doing now is not on the path to that. We would have to introduce some new AI, programming, something completely different, some new process. It's not just an extrapolation of what we're doing now, but better. What we're doing now, but better is just, yes, you can now make figures of people who don't have 6 fingers and weird pupils and stuff, getting better at doing what it's doing. But like for example, my challenge is, and this is when I think we would get to like truly creative AI art, is come up with a style that's all your own.
Yeah.
That is not just a mashup of other styles, right? It has to be something different. Like if you ever, any of you out there who is a fan of, say, Banksy's art, right? I mean, it's its own thing. Doesn't mean it's not derivative in some way, or you can't say there's influences or elements, but there is new creative elements in there that you have to be a real artist in order to do. It's not just just copying something else. And that, I think, comes from the human experience, right? Or at least some kind of ability to experience our own existence, sentience, whatever, in order to say, I think you need to have, in essence, a theory of mind.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know what it's like to exist, to be your own mind, to be your own self, and that other people also have that, and think about how would this influence other people? How would they perceive it? How would it affect them emotionally? And also based upon how you react to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which AI cannot do. It can't think, it can't feel, it can't be truly creative. It has to just copy. It's just really good at that. It's really good at seeing patterns and then regenerating those patterns, maybe new instances of those patterns, things that also fit the same patterns, even though the details may be new, and maybe combining patterns, but it can't create entirely new ones that haven't existed before.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what the current AIs do. Right? Would anybody disagree with any of that, or is that pretty self-evident?
I think that's generally what a lot of people
Yeah.
agree with. Well, the reason I brought it up was because
Yeah.
I was picking back up, don't trust our eyes. So I do have some
Okay.
images for that. So let's look at this image. What do you guys see?
I see on the left, I see a person's face.
It's Jesus.
Okay, so you do see.
Jesus.
So if you zoom in, it's a little less. It's
Yeah,
a little
it goes
harder.
away.
It goes away, but as soon as you zoom out,
It's really...
it'd be really apparent
Yes.
Yeah.
that it's Jesus.
Is that deliberate or accidental?
No, I think there are accidental
Maybe they-
instances of this, and then this specifically, they shaded stuff in.
Okay.
Or
Or
they
did they
do
arrange?
some
Did they put it
sort
like?
of-
Did they put a banana in the
No,
middle
that's
of the
an
peaches?
all
This
of
is
those
an AI, though.
they're
Oh, that's
all
AI generated?
They're all
Yeah.
AI.
What was the prompt?
I wonder. I don't know actually.
Make me a fruit stand that
me
looks
a-
like
yeah,
Jesus.
that- like the
And
outline is
that
Jesus.
whole thing
Like,
might
here's
have
one.
might have a style.
This one, if you zoom
Homer
in, it's
Simpson.
mountains, but if you zoom out, yeah,
It's
it's
Homer
Homer.
Cool.
Simpson.
Yeah.
Which was pretty interesting. Like the way our eyes focus on
Yeah.
patterns zoomed out.
Is that Steve? Is that Christian in the chat right there?
Christian who?
See?
Who Becky?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's got to be him. The picture looks like him. Christian, if that's you, let us know. But
Oh,
I
you
like
mean-
the,
If
I
it's
like
not
the
Doc
comment.
Bicky, that guy?
I like the
Shoo
comment though. He said, could you put it up so everyone can read it?
Which one? Oh, what?
It's surprising to me how poorly these generated age.
How poorly they age, right?
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's because they're
Yeah,
interesting
that's
to
Christian.
the extent that they're novel, and the novelty wears off fast. I have noticed that too, Christian, where I was looking at, I generate a lot of AI art for a lot of personal use. And I was just doing it this morning. I do it to create a lot of blog images because it doesn't really matter what the image is, right? You just need to have an image to go with your blog.
Yeah, it has to be indicative of the podcast in some way or another.
Or whatever, of the blog post itself. It's got to mean something. Now, if there is a scientific image that's associated with it, I'll use that. Like if I could pull an image out of a study that I'm talking about, I do that. Or
put a
something that
fake
illustrates
proton.
a principle. But if it's just more abstract or whatever, and there is no image that would help people understand the point or the data, I just need something to go along, to accompany the blog post or whatever. So I was writing about exercise in older adults. So I asked ChatGPT, make me a picture of older people exercising.
Yes.
And it's so derivative of itself, and which is an interesting aside, by the way, because people are starting to say that as they start to train AIs that are trained on new data are increasingly being trained on the output of older AIs.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if I'm starting to see that, because like the pictures that the AIs come out with as its first offering are so redundant and repetitive and I'm just bored with it just out of the gate.
Yeah, but you have to work with it though.
Of course,
it isn't like you push a button and it creates some random image.
But interesting, its starting point is so now predictable. But in addition to that, like the level of busyness is always too high up there. This whatever. But also, something that I noticed too is like the racial bias is so complete
Yeah.
So of course it shows me a picture of 50 older white people exercising, just always. And I said, yeah, do that again, but throw in a little racial diversity. And one person was maybe slightly tanned.
What?
I mean, literally,
Jesus.
I mean, it couldn't do it. And then I had to say, all right, can you include some people of color in this picture? And then there was one person in the back who was African.
In the back?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was
The AI's
so,
like,
so
okay,
hard.
woke.
It's so,
Oh my God.
whatever. I'm just saying.
I
like,
know.
That's
so
ridiculous.
I generate a lot of pictures for science-based medicine to use as sort of the header for the blog. 100% of the time you ask the AI to generate a picture of a physician, it is a
White
middle-aged
man.
white male.
Yep.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
I mean, it does go with the stereotypes. The thing that bothers me is, though, you gave it commands.
Right.
And it did it in a minimal way. And I just think it's the law of averages. I don't think it's
Yeah, I know.
programming. I just think it's like if you search doctor images, most of them are middle-aged white guys. That's probably why it is that way.
Reinforces it, though.
Yeah.
Of course.
So let me give you a few. Let me talk for a minute here. So,
Oh, boy.
so first of all,
Here we go.
I like what Christian said. You know, he's basically describing them as the images as coming out hollow, and I use a similar word. I just say it's soulless.
It's soulless.
It doesn't feel like a human made it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that yet. But compositionally, things, like the rule of thirds and all that, like if you're taking pictures or if you're even with, paintings and stuff, there's the rule of thirds. You could look it up. It's like just a way to place things in, where do you place things in a frame in that image that you're doing?
Yeah, and you're right. You can get there. Like I just recently read an article. This is maybe a couple of weeks ago. It was in one of the big newspapers like New York Times or whatever. Saying here's like 100 pieces of AI of art. Can you tell which ones are AI, which ones are human? And these were selected from many, many examples, by the way. So they eliminated anything that was obviously AI. So so if you generate a whole bunch of them, and now I think our eyes are picking out like that just looks like an AI art. You pick out the ones that don't look that way. It is getting increasingly difficult to tell the difference. And there are certain types of art. Like what would you guess would be the type of art that's the hardest to tell between people and AI?
Like photography?
No, art, not photography.
I don't know.
Not that
I don't know. It's an interesting thing.
Anime.
Impressionist.
Oh.
Okay.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right? So there was some pieces of impressionist art that were indistinguishable from human generated, at least to me. I'm not an expert. And in fact, the one that ranked the highest of all the art that was in that study was AI generated impressionist art. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely getting there. It does some styles better than others. I think the corporate logo image kind of stuff, or like the generic picture stuff, is really easy to tell now, and is sort of the same style over and over again. Also, you can find studies or demonstrations or articles or whatever that compare short stories that are written by AI and by people. And there was one like 6 months ago, I read one. I think it also was in the New York Times. And the AI short story took me about 3 sentences to figure out that it was AI.
Yeah.
It was like, as you say, it was out of the box, completely soulless.
It's like, it's a similar experience to when you watch a movie. Like this, the strongest version of this I can give you would be Shamalama Ding Dong's Airbender. What's his name?
Avatar?
Shamalama Ding
Yeah,
Dong.
what?
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, what's
Last
the
Airbender.
guy's name?
M. Night Shyamalan?
Yes, we
Shyamalan.
always call it, since he started making bad movies, we
Yeah,
dubbed him
100%.
Shamalama Ding Dong.
Also, that movie doesn't exist.
Okay,
won't-
so
Oh my
no, but
God,
the
that was
point
such a
is,
terrible movie.
when
We
you
won't
experience
acknowledge it.
poorly crafted art,
Yeah.
AI or not, it has that soulless, empty feeling. It's like there's a vacuum. right?
But human generated bad art could be bad in other ways.
Yeah, of course.
I think the AI art that's bad, it's like the baseline is soulless. So like it was a perfect emblematic sort of example of what I'm talking about, that the story one now, in that it got the job done,
Yeah.
but there was nothing interesting about it. Whereas the human one that was written was not fantastic or anything, but it was just a competent writer. Like from the get-go, I was a little intrigued.
Yeah.
There was something he knew how to
The
sort of
hook.
draw. There was a hook. I was drawn in. There was something interesting going on. And I started to think and feel things. Where from the AI one, it was just like getting the job done, telling a story.
Yeah.
I had zero interest in anybody or anything that was happening. all the way through.
It's as
it
if-
was a chore to read it.
It's as if you went to Fiverr.com and paid someone $10 to write you a short story. You know,
Or
like-
I usually
Probably
liken
worse,
it to
but yeah.
nothing against fifth graders, but it's like a fifth grader doing it, right?
Yeah.
It's like somebody who
has no nuances.
has no nuance, who doesn't understand the form,
Or
who's just not a
context and
fully
everything.
mature adult yet, and just trying to get the job done, is not really putting any thought or creativity into it. It's like a book report. Like that's what you get when you ask it about questions. Like, tell me about this topic. You get a book report, right? Again, a soulless book report.
Well,
with
we
no real
we can't have this
analysis.
conversation without talking about where it's very, very likely to go
Yeah.
in a short amount of time. And
Yeah.
so anyway, we know right now everybody's experienced
Well,
it. But
yeah.
the point is,
and it's getting better.
the
but
point is that
it-
we will spend the majority of our lives
Yeah.
using AI that doesn't have these limitations. It's going to be nuanced. It's going to be able to do things that even today, even with people speculating on what we think it's going to be able to do, it's going to do things that surprise us. And with coaxing,
Yeah.
it's going to be able to do some what I think to be very, very finely crafted things.
I agree. And so the arc has been over the last 100 years that every time somebody says narrow AI can't do this, it does it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, oh, I'll never be able to beat a human at chess. You have to think to play chess. It's like, apparently you don't. You just need to really understand patterns very, very well.
which a computer is built to do.
Yeah, right. And a lot of the recent advances, not that there haven't been genuine advances in the
Consulted
programming and leveraging it, but a lot of it is just we have more powerful computers and we have an internet of data to train it on, and so it's just getting really more powerful.
But Steve, they are specific, like for Midjourney
Yeah.
and Suno and Sora and all these. They are specifically.
Yes.
I couldn't extend that word any more than I did.
Specifically.
They are very specifically creating it to have these skill sets in these
I
narrow
know,
places.
but this is where I'm just getting there. It's like, so even though I just got through saying that what it's doing now isn't really on the pathway to true creativity or whatever, I'm not convinced we can't get there without getting to AGI or to sentient AI.
No, we don't need AGI to do that.
Yeah, that in fact, and they are doing things like, we were just talking with Bob about this the other day, that when you ask a question, rather than just giving you a direct answer to that question, the process is like, all right, we're going to break it up into multiple smaller questions and go on a process.
Yeah, that's just a process to get there.
Get there, and the same thing, like it might be possible to throw into the algorithm some kind of random generator that will create something that's not just derivative, because it'll generate a lot of shit, or maybe it'll generate a lot of shit and filter the shit out, and then you'll be left with something that's at least interesting and genuinely new, because the process now has a random generation element to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it could simulate human creativity to a
definitely.
point where it's like really off the hook, even though it's not the same process.
Let me give you guys some perspective. I've been using a lot of these AI programs now for well over a year. And I have a few instances. Like for Nauticon in 2023, November of 2023, I wanted to play a joke on Steve. Steve had to work the first day that it started, so he literally was only like 2 hours late.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours.
But me and George came up with this idea that we're going to simulate Steve's voice using 11 labs, right? So one thing that you need in order to simulate somebody's voice is a lot of them speaking alone, right? You can't have it. So I have an unlimited amount of files of Steve
Yes.
speaking on a solo track. So that's what I did. I went up, I went to our archive online, I downloaded a bunch. I just took Steve's solo tracks, which was very easy to do because it's all right there. I pump it in there. I gave it about 45 minutes of Steve talking, I think. And it nailed Steve's voice. Like indistinguishable. It had...
You don't have it here, do you?
I do. So, okay, I've done this before. We've done this.
I think we found that George's was the most.
George can get very specific too.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll play a few for you.
Now say it again, but this time cut the shit.
Like something Steve would never say. How about this one?
It's got a little bit of a weirdness.
He would never say this.
That question sucks.
He might say that.
Listen to this.
You are wrong in so many ways. I think I need to call your mother.
So,
Mother. I
So
don't
was
that
think he
a little
talks
off?
yet.
no, that one, yeah,
Mother.
right, but okay, a year ago, right?
Yeah.
45 minutes, and I did ramp it up, like it wasn't good enough until I got to that threshold. So, a couple of weeks ago, I was messing around with the guys, like trying to get, what we were doing. Can I pet that dog? Remember that? I had every one of us say that.
Wow.
So I couldn't find the thing. I had to reprogram it to do Steve's voice again, and I quickly grabbed about a minute of you talking, and it sounded better than a year ago.
Yeah.
After a minute, right?
Yeah.
So that's a dramatic decrease in
Right.
content. Okay.
That's an imitation task.
It
that
is.
it's doing.
Fine. I'm just saying. That's one thing.
Yeah.
Now, another thing is I used Suno.com to create my sister-in-law a 80s rap song for her 50th birthday. Now, I wrote the lyrics, but it came up with the music, and then I ended up editing a lot of the stuff that it gave me, right, to fashion the song to kind of go in the order of
It
that
takes
I
a lot
wanted.
of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, they versioned it,
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote another song
Sounds like Ray
last
Romano.
week. And it is so much better than the earlier engine.
Yeah.
It was actually like shocking because they made a lot of advancements all in this one update. One, you get all the stems, right, all the individual tracks. If you ask for it, it'll
Yeah.
give you that. The voice was crystal clear, sounded more human than I've ever heard it produced before. It had ripping guitar solos. It came up with really cool guitar melodies on top of the vocal melody. Very, very good. It came up with some good stuff, and I could see people going to Suno. They type in their style. They can, because you could play with it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then get a whole bunch of ideas, and then they turn them into their own songs.
Yeah.
That's where we're at now.
Sure.
But Steve, I legitimately think that we're years, a handful of years away from this thing being able to write really good music. And
But still derivative.
it's sure it's derivative, but
Yeah.
it didn't sound like anything I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I asked it I gave it a specific style.
Well, where you can get things that are maybe new is in fusion. You could say, I want it in this style combined with that style.
Yep.
Or maybe even a third style, or you give it whatever. You can, it's still picking pieces that exist, but you can mix those pieces up in a new way that hasn't been done before that does kind of create a new sound. So that you can do. Absolutely. No, it's getting impressive. And the same thing with video. We talked about this too not too long ago. And we're also getting to the point where you put all those pieces together, and we're almost at the point where we could do AI-generated film, like with all the components of the story.
I tried Sora.
Yeah.
I tried it. It wasn't as good as I hoped it was going to be out of the gate. I made several videos.
Yeah.
All with a very similar prompt. You see these wonderful things that it's done, and like on the homepage they show you all these cool videos that people made. But you've got to learn how to talk to it, just like Midjourney in the very beginnings of Midjourney.
But that'll get better too. The interface.
I like what Christian said here too. Like he's saying that there's similar lessons and methods of having, robots learning by imitation. Like they'll videotape, or they'll take. They could put sensors on a human's body and then have the robot mimic that. And he said it can do it, but it doesn't gain the context. In essence, right? If you read what he said, it doesn't have the context of all the movements and all that. It can do it, but it doesn't know how to recover from probably some of those movements and all that.
Yeah.
But and I've talked extensively with Christian about this. As a matter of fact, Christian, you and I are due for another conversation. The idea, though, is, and Christian has said this, it's not like we're not going to get there. We will get there. It is achievable. Like
totally.
Having a human, a robot, walk around a house like it's human and be able to navigate through all that stuff is not impossible. Not even close to impossible.
No, it's just a really hard thing for
It's
robots
hard and it
to
takes
do.
time, like you said. Like
A home
autonomous
is a very
cars.
challenging.
It's like
environment.
autonomous cars.
Yeah.
Got 80% in a very short amount of time. That last 20% was the hardest part, and it's going to take a
It's
long
getting
time.
harder and harder.
So AI, but Steve, I put it to you that AI has not hit its 80% yet.
You mean the LLMs? The latest crop.
Yeah, the latest crop
Yeah,
of
yeah.
LLMs has not gone to
I agree that we're still on
the steep part
the
of the
steep
curve.
part of the curve, and that's the question: is when are we going to plateau, and will we plateau, and what that will look like, and where that will be, and that's interesting. And by the time this is plateauing, people may figure out new ways to get another curve out of it. Who knows? Again, we're sort of taking it as it comes, and it's a wild ride, and it's fascinating, but it's really hard. I mean, I think what we were thinking of 2-3 years ago was pretty much what's happening now.
I think we're about where we thought we'd
Yeah.
be. Are we romanticizing the human brain, though, Steve?
Maybe. This is a good question, and 'cause I wrote about this on my neurological blog recently, and this is the question that always comes up: is okay, the human brain is different than LLMs, in that, we are sentient, we're aware, we have a consciousness, a wakeful consciousness, etc. And that's just not a feature of any of the AIs that we have. But, and I really don't know what the answer to this is. Is it just, is our brain just a whole bunch of narrow AIs actively networked together?
Communicating with each other. I mean, we know that our brain...
It's that constant communication that is our stream of wakeful consciousness, but at the end of the day, maybe it is just a bunch of narrow AIs networked together, and maybe we can get there by networking together a bunch of narrow AIs, not just biologically.
Yeah, I mean,
although here's the thing though, our cerebellum also is that, and it's not conscious, and so it's not merely just throwing a bunch of ANIs together. There has to be, I think, it has to specifically be designed to be conscious.
Exactly. I totally get that.
But we still could get there, maybe.
But the
I don't
kind
think
of...
there's anything special or magic that comes into it.
I just think it's complicated. I think our brain is fantastically complicated.
Yeah.
But when you do reduce it down, like you said, to the smallest little details, which is eventually that's what,
we have
whole
circuits
field...
in our brain that do very narrow things,
Yeah.
It's just that the way they're communicating with each other. And also they're also being constantly stimulated and activated internally, externally, with crosstalk.
Yep.
So it's possible that someday Skynet may just wake up and become conscious. That's the question. Are we going to have some kind of network of AIs that at some point just crosses some threshold where it has something akin to sentience? I don't know. That's a hard question to answer.
Yeah, and then the thing that really bothers me about this idea of artificial intelligence, if we're at that point where we're we're not sure if it's conscious, it's acting like it is. It has the capacity, right? So let's say we get to that point.
We will get to that point.
We will.
We will 100% get to that point.
Maybe in our lifetime.
We don't know if an AI is conscious or not.
Right.
We will have to pass through that period.
So my question to you then is this.
Do we treat it like it's AI?
The problem is if there is a chance that it is conscious and it, and it has a sense of self and all that, which a computer program could fake to a certain degree, but we get to that point, like you said, let's say we're at the threshold. Do we have the right to turn that computer off and reboot that thing and start it up all over? That gets very iffy.
Well, we very quickly get into some ethical gray areas.
But I'm curious about that now. I think it's an interesting thing that we should start talking about that, because if you have a consciousness that's living inside of a computer and it's not in a brain,
what do we owe it?
What do we owe it?
Right.
Yeah,
do we owe it a meaningful existence? I don't know.
That all these things all of a sudden have to come to the front. We have to have an idea of how we're supposed to handle that. If we're dabbling in that, we get to the point where it's happening. I think we shouldn't just willy-nilly turn off a million lives at that point. It could be because in a weird sense it's a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Although I think we'll assume it isn't, just so that we can turn it on and off at our will.
Yeah.
Again, where's the burden of proof? Do we have to prove that it is, or we have to prove that it isn't? But we already are in that now. In that, we had the Google executive who was like, "Yeah, I think the Google AI is self-aware because it's acting self-aware." It's it's not really acting self-aware, and it really can't be based upon how it's functioning. And then the more recent one, which we're probably going to talk about on the show tonight, with the OpenAI exec saying that their OpenAI platform already has achieved AGI, although he didn't say sentience. But part of the justification for the claim is, do we really know what 1 trillion connections or how they're functioning, and that we know that they're not, functioning in a way that could be considered
That's such
general
bullshit,
AI?
Steve. I can't wait to talk about it tonight.
Yeah, we'll talk about it tonight. But
you say it's AGI, then where are the remarkable things that should be coming with it, quote unquote, being AGI? It's not there. It's just not. And again,
half-assed art you could make on.
Nah, I don't know.
No. Should we look at that GMO video?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I did have a couple other eye things. Let's just look at these real quick because they're kind of fun. Look at this one. Does this one mess with your eyes at all?
Totally. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Isn't it funny how that?
Now that's happening. I'll tell you why that's happening.
Okay,
here.
go ahead. Do
because
it's creepy.
We're programmed to see human faces, and our brain is. It looks like you can't focus on it. You
Right.
can, but this is like the flutter that's happening
Makes you
in
think
your
it's out
brain.
of focus.
It looks, it really messes
does.
with my head.
Yeah, it is a little
Looking at it.
painful to watch because your brain is trying to make sense of that.
Especially this guy.
Second-
This guy
Yeah.
screws me up.
moment
This one,
by
not
moment.
so much, but it's still bad.
yeah, yeah.
Like I think I've met that guy on the right.
Yeah, he's definitely a relative.
Yeah, it is. It is a disturbing thing. Like no matter how often you look at it or how long you look at it, you'll never be able to like settle on it
Yeah.
because it's the two mouths especially.
Yeah. This one's a fun one. So this one you probably can guess already. These two faces are the same color. Can you believe that? That the color of this one
Yeah,
on the
I
left
believe that.
with the one on the right?
the face itself.
The face.
I mean, I've
the-
seen lots of illusions that way, and they are amazing. That's a pretty amazing.
The yellow,
pretty
the
good.
yellow background. Well, do you have like a follow-up image to prove it?
Well, here she does. She goes through it. Hold on.
Does she
I don't
move
care how
one to?
artsy fartsy you are. People are saying that these two faces are the same color.
So what she'll
I'm gonna
do.
disprove it right now.
She'll put it on her
Okay, I've
iPad.
screenshot
yeah,
the photo
she's
for
drawing it.
Procreate. What we're gonna do is hit this tool, which will grab whatever color I want it to. So we're gonna grab this color right here. And then we're gonna do airbrush. All right, that's the same color, right? Same color. All right, now let's check over here.
Yep.
What?
Yeah. It's the yellow background.
Yeah, and you can see the gradient
I'm-
form.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that cool?
What? I was so ready for this to be the blue dress.
It doesn't
white
look like it's getting
stereo.
lighter as it goes over.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun how that works. And I did it too. I like grabbed the color with the color
What?
picker between the two, and it's the same color.
No, it's amazing. That's a pretty dramatic example of
Yeah.
it. That's a
That's
good. We
awesome.
should use that in our.
Yeah, we
in
could
our
use that
show.
in.
It just goes to show you. Our
Well-
perception of reality is such a construct.
It's a construct. That's the thing. You're not seeing color. You're constructing the image
yeah.
based upon the input, and our brain, prioritizes things like contrast, seeing edges, forming pictures, understanding shadows. I think that's probably where that is coming from. Over accuracy, right? We're not just seeing a raw image. Like, have you ever looked at a raw image on a camera that's not processed? It's a sim. It's like it's unreadable. So the one thing we do is, like, for example, if your brain kind of inferring from the context that's part of an image is in shadow, it doesn't want your your construction of that to make it seem like the thing is changing color. You know what I mean? Like, things don't change their color when they walk through shadows, or if part of it is in shadow and part of it is not in shadow. So your brain tweaks it so that you say it's the same color. It's just this is just shadow over here, and that will lighten or darken things to make the shadow effect consistent. And that, I think we're just seeing an extreme example of that there.
It's brilliant, though.
Yeah.
It worked really well.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right, so let's move on to the GMO one. So this is a video from Liam on TikTok, who's pretty
buddy.
popular science creator. But he's specifically talking about RFK and the Jordan Peterson discussion, if you will. We can piggyback off of that. We don't have to listen to too much of what he says because he's basically straightforward and in the right. But let's listen to it.
And what do you think is driving the obesity epidemic?
It's being driven by poison food. The original crops were nutrient rich, but the GMO crops are nutrient barren and they're heavily dependent on pesticides.
Hey, how you doing?
I like that it was Baron with a B-A-R-O-N.
Yeah, B-A-R-O-N.
I was like, what? Okay.
Baron von Food.
Baron von Fuden.
So that everything that RFK Jr. said there was complete and
Bullshit.
total horseshit. Yeah, it was complete and utter nonsense. So first of all, what's causing the obesity epidemic? We know what's causing the obesity epidemic. This has been studied pretty extensively. And the main question has always been, are people exercising less or eating more?
Or is there's something wrong with the food?
That's not even on the list because it's not even a potential for causing obesity.
I know, but
anyway,
I thought I'd put that on the list
Yeah.
since that's what he said.
but the answer, what do you think the answer is?
Both.
No. You can 100% explain it by eating more food.
Yeah.
The amount of
Like more
calories we're
calories.
consuming
Yeah.
on a population level. This is a population level, not an individual level.
Yeah, but
It tracks completely with the amount that
exactly.
people are gaining.
But
weight.
we definitely, the food in the United States in particular. I'm not going to talk about food in other countries because I don't eat it all the time.
Be careful what you're about to say.
Uh-oh, here we go.
They do
Bum,
make
bum,
it so it's more
bum.
caloric. It is more caloric.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So we're eating more
that's right.
calories. Yeah, I thought you were going to say it's less nutritious.
No, but that's a big thing because it's funny. I was watching this comedian.
You consume more calories without realizing.
This comedian, like, I love this guy. He's the guy that like says there's all these different meanings of the word shit, and right. I love that comedian. So anyway,
German guy.
Yeah,
Are you shit or are you the shit?
but he. So he goes. I come to America, blah blah blah, and I have a sandwich and I take a bite of something. That's 600 calories. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is effed up, Steve.
Because the food industry realizes that people will eat food if they enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
They over time, food has been engineered to be more tasty and have better mouthfeel and whatever, and that means calories. And then every time there's a fad about, we need to reduce fat, it's like, okay, we'll reduce fat for you. Have a low-fat food with more sugar.
Yeah.
Or we want to limit carbs. Okay, we can limit carbs for you with more fat.
Yeah.
But
it's
you still get the high calories at the end. Calories taste good, so they absolutely do. And we evolved to be attracted to very calorie-dense food.
I'm very attracted
because we lived, all of humanity except for very recently in industrialized countries.
They were starving.
We were living on the edge of starvation a lot of people on the planet still are. So most people, for most of our experience, were living on the edge of starvation, and calorie-dense foods, they would suck the bone marrow out of bones because it was fatty and delicious.
Ian and I were just talking about this.
Calorie-dense.
What's that show, Ian? That guy that makes recipes from like the 1850s?
Oh, Max Miller, Tasting History.
Yeah, so he like, it's
Great
fascinating
show,
show, Steve. But
Yeah.
you would love this show.
Yeah.
He goes,
What's it called?
Tasting History.
All
It's
right,
on
I'll check it
YouTube.
out.
So he finds
On
these
YouTube.
old recipe books, and they recreate them. But he lives in like one of those like we're living like it's 1850.
No, that's the Townsend guy.
Oh yeah, he's good too.
Oh, you're
That's a
mixing up
different
two
guy.
So
There's two different
anyway,
guys.
like they'll be like, let me tell you what sailors used to eat.
Oh my God, forget about it.
So the hardtack, which is like
Hardtack, yeah.
like it was horrible stuff. It had sawdust in it sometimes.
Yeah.
They are pickled pig products. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pickled feet. Like if you buy the really expensive one, there's a ham hock in there. If you
Yeah.
buy the cheap barrel, it's all covered in, it's all stored with salt. You're getting like the head and the feet.
Yeah.
That's the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
And they'd put those on the boat, and those guys would be lucky if they got a piece of meat.
Yeah.
Like terrible. The people would be like,
How is this relevant
raisins
to
were a
what-
big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're sweet.
Yeah.
So they would be able to make
honey.
desserts out of raisins. But the whole thing. Like, you ever watch that TV show about like where ketchup came from, like what was going on at that time?
Because all meat was rotting and disgusting.
So they needed something to cover up the taste of rotting meat, because to get fresh meat, only super rich people could afford fresh meat. Anyway,
But there is that myth that they would put spices on the meat. But spices were very expensive.
Spices are very expensive.
So it's not you'd probably just eat raw meat, like rancid meat.
well, they had really nasty
You know what I
sauces,
mean?
Ian,
So
that
it
were
was
actually dangerous to eat. Like
Right,
one of
that's
them,
fish sauces.
like the
Oh,
fish
yeah.
sauces stuff.
Oh yeah,
God.
there's an ancient Roman fish sauce that he made. It's garum. Somebody in the
Yeah, but
chat
that
tell me.
could have been good though.
No, yeah, it's like fish sauce that you use in like Thai food. There
that's
is something
fine.
interesting to it.
All right,
It's
so
very
getting back to
umami.
RFK.
Yeah, go back.
yeah.
Go back.
So,
Don't-
but he's saying, so forget, he doesn't know the evidence. He's not a scientist.
He doesn't know the
You
evidence.
guys are
He's not a
radicalized.
scientist.
He's a radicalized journalist.
He says whatever.
Lawyer.
He says whatever
he's a
he wants to.
conspiracy theorist.
Absolutely.
He's a nut job. So he says
he is the definition of I have a conclusion and I will
Yes.
draw back everything to make sure I get to that.
And his conclusion is it's always about poisons in the environment.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because that's what he started his career as an environmental lawyer. He actually did some good work initially, but he went totally off the cliff. Everything now, it's like it's a one-trick pony. He sees everything through that same lens. Everything is an environmental poison. That's why he's an anti-vaccine, lunatic as well. And so he's saying, so one claim is that it's the poison food. No, it isn't. It has nothing to do with that. His other claim is that it's the GMOs. No, it isn't. GMO foods are not less nutritious than non-GMO foods. That's a completely made-up bullshit claim, having nothing to do with reality.
Yeah.
Nothing. There's nothing in genetically modified about the process of genetic modification.
Imagine if one of these interviewers actually held him down. Okay, you said that.
That's not what's happening.
so
in
Well,
the
that's
video.
Jordan Peterson.
Where
Yeah.
where are you getting the information?
Yeah.
Show me the studies. Like why do we let
There's
people
no
like him?
science here,
Yeah.
but
Bullshit.
right. So that's just nonsense. And then he said that eating less nutritious food makes you obese. So how does that happen exactly? It doesn't close the loop there either. It makes you, if you're eating less nutritious food, makes you malnourished. But it doesn't make you necessarily obese. And also, the food today is not less nutritious. It's perfectly fine. Also, if you just had a little bit of an aside, but maybe he's thinking versus organic food. Organic food is not more nutritious than conventionally farmed food. That's also a myth. Not just a myth, that's propaganda.
And organic food, the production of organic food is worse for the environment.
It's worse for the environment, yes. And then there's then it also says it uses more pesticides. Actually, it uses fewer pesticides because we genetically engineer the crops to either not need pesticides or so that we could use less toxic pesticides, right?
Yeah.
And then, so his claims are, every element of the claim is nonsensical and factually incorrect.
Don't you think at this point that one of us should call him an asshole?
Don't scream just
I think you just did.
I promised I'm not going to freak out and scream, but God damn it, we need to call him an asshole.
He was the last guy that triggered your reaction.
He was.
it
No,
was.
I'm not letting him
It
get
was
me
him.
twice.
Yeah.
Unless, he
do it.
kills babies, which he will. And I will yell again when that
Luckily,
happens.
we won't have to deal with him for the next 4 years.
No baby killers. No baby killer claims.
I just want you to know I have to leave at 2 today,
Oh Lord,
which is coming up very
that's in
quick.
5 minutes. Let's
Yeah.
do. Okay, so we'll run through some other fun stuff. Let's see. We have. Okay, I did that one. I did that one. I did. Oh, actually, I think we're.
We talked, we did most of it.
Most of it. There was what else? Don't trust your eyes. Oh, we have a fun video.
Let's do it.
Maybe this one is important to put in front of everybody's eyes. Here's a video from this weekend. I think this is an important thing to bring up.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Wasn't awful.
What'd you say?
The wings are actually really fucking good.
What'd you say?
If anyone wants, get them.
I heard the pineapple on pizza wasn't awful.
The sauce is
That's a controversial
Not,
point of
not
view.
embarrassing at all.
Are rolling.
All right, so I tried pineapple and ham, the Hawaiian pizza.
It's a Hawaiian pizza.
He ate a Hawaiian pizza.
All right, so look,
Chat.
I
It
never,
wasn't bad. I had it too.
I never intended.
I think you're gonna have
eat
to
it.
hand over the vowel on the end of your
No,
name.
but look,
You're no longer allowed to have
It-
an Italian last name.
You'll
Be J. Novell.
We cook. There's other recipes that in my family where we'll use pineapple as part of a recipe that has meat in it.
Yeah, there are some recipes are sweet and
Yeah.
savory combined, and it could work fine. It's just the thing is like pizza is a template.
Yeah,
It's not
from
one
You could put
food.
so many things on it,
You
but I
can't
was surprised
necessarily-
though. I was surprised. It wasn't. It wasn't as rancid.
I
as
like
I thought it
ham.
was
I
gonna
like,
be.
I like
Yeah.
pineapple,
Yeah.
and these pizzas were objectively good. They were good thin crust New York crust pizzas
Yeah.
with good tasting sauce. So the pizzas that from this place were good, and the pineapple ham pizza was fine.
But Ian thought
not
it
my
was
favorite.
hysterical. Like he's like,
not my
you're no
favorite.
longer an Italian. And let me tell you something, Ian.
It's just content.
No, I get you. So it's not even
It's banter.
No, but the end of the day, I was wrong. It isn't horrible. It is its own thing.
Listen,
And I would
Yeah.
never order it again.
the
I mean,
sweet
that's it.
savory thing
Yeah.
is always surprising.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's always like counterintuitive. My personal anecdote when it comes to that is, and I don't know if I remember if I've said this publicly, and I think I have probably sometime on the SGU. When I was in college, we had our snack bar, right? And
Yeah.
This was about a third of our meals.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Come from the
snack bar. You could live in a snack
You
bar.
could, but it's like, yeah, if we're whatever, we're late for the thing, whatever, we'd go to the snack bar. And one of the staples that we had at
Was
the
frozen
snack bar
pizza?
was pizza bagels.
Yeah, yeah.
Pizza bagel, and these were real
Hey,
pizza
when
bagels.
pizza's
And
on
they'll
a
tell
bagel,
you, oh, it
These
was a
weren't
real
just little
bagel.
things.
It was a real
It was
bagel.
a real bagel.
that's supper time.
Cut the bagel in half, and you put a pizza on
It
top.
all depends on the ingredients.
Yeah, of course. So I'm starving. I roll up to the snack bar. I'm like, I like a pizza bagel on a forget what kind of bagel.
I
whatever.
like a pizza bagel.
Yeah.
On-
Good day.
and there's a couple of different kinds. Like
Everything.
I can do it on a sesame bagel. You can do it on a plain bagel.
What bagel did you pick?
They only had one kind of bagel.
Everything
left.
bagel?
Nope.
Pumpernickel.
Pumpernickel.
Nope.
Raisin.
Says-
Cinnamon raisin.
Oh no!
Raisin.
That's the worst one.
So I said, I'll take the cinnamon bagel, the cinnamon raisin pizza bagel. That's how desperate I was. I loved it.
Oh,
And that's the way I had it every time since then.
That's funny.
The cinnamon raisin pizza
Isn't
bagel.
it funny how you have an expectation in your
it was
head?
good. It was good.
Oh man,
I've heard of people putting cinnamon on pizza, which is weird to me, but
Because it's that weird mix of sweet and savory.
Yeah, you just
that
never know,
in
man.
the right combination. And that's one of those things like.
we got an actual Italian, Alessandro. I'm Italian. I eat pizza with ham and pineapple. It's fine.
All right, so therefore,
Yeah,
Ian,
okay, I don't know about that.
So I'm going to lead you guys with a very interesting.
This is a
topic.
psyop. Alessandro's a psyop.
Here's a question I posed to everyone this weekend
Right.
because I've been thinking about this.
Yeah.
Is for the most part, as human beings,
Mm-hmm.
we have an opinion on everything.
Yeah.
Like if I showed you 1,000 pairs of shoes that
Yes.
that you could possibly wear,
You would have an opinion on every
more
one.
times than not, you wouldn't be like iffy. You'd be like, okay. You for the most part, you'd be, I like that. I don't like that. I like that. I don't like that. We have the ability to make these judgment calls about
Yeah.
taste,
Well,
right?
aesthetic things like taste.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's not like your brain is already knows.
I go to stores with literally hundreds of ties.
Yeah.
I'm like, nope,
Nope.
nope, nope.
But it's an algorithm, right?
this
Steve?
one I like. I'll
It's
wear
some
this
kind of
one.
algorithm.
I don't know why, but yeah, absolutely.
It's not. So I find that interesting. And the other thing that is shocking is that we don't really have that much control over it. Yes, you can cultivate a taste for something like sushi or whatever. You know, if you're
Yeah.
not like if you're
You
more
can
born.
have an acquired taste is different because there are some evolved elements, there's
Yeah.
like genetic elements, and then there are learned elements.
But we are subject, Steve,
it's hard to know
to
which,
our
how much-
opinion on things.
Okay,
It's
Alessandro, I'm
you know what?
just-
Also,
my-
not just how things taste, but the texture of food. There are some cultures
Absolutely.
that
True.
have that are culturally indoctrinated into different food
Oh, yeah.
textures, and if they eat like non-textured food, it's
They
weird.
can't take it.
It's disgusting.
So
to them.
the thing is, though, it's
Chicken feed anyone?
it's not about taste of food and things like you could learn that, and it's not about subjects like things that you could be you know your intellect and your rational thinking can help you change your mind and come to a better position. This is all about aesthetic mostly. We are subject to it. We're subject to what tastes good for the most
yeah,
part.
why does one song make you cry, another song
Right.
like, well, that's crap.
Like
That's
I
shit.
hated the original Wizard of Oz movie, and I hated the movie Titanic. I am in the dramatic, you know. I
You
am.
hated the original Wizard of Oz.
I don't like it. I don't know why. I didn't pick that. It happened to me.
What don't you like about it?
What about The Wiz?
I don't like
With
the
Diana
sing-songy way that they talk. I don't like the.
Well, it's dated. That aspect of it is dated.
I never liked it though. You could take me all the way back to when I was a kid. I never liked it. I don't know. Right? It's weird, right? You would think.
What about Wicked?
I love Wicked. The movie
Wicked
was
awesome,
fantastic.
wasn't it?
But the point is, this is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
We are subject to those decisions. We
Yeah.
don't drive those decisions.
Yes.
We
They
just
are
have to
imposed
bow down
upon
to
us.
it. Taste and partners,
The
blah,
whiz, there
everything.
you go.
Go ahead, think about it. You're going to trip out thinking about this because we don't get to choose. Our brain is born
What's
this
your
way.
favorite color?
Orange, by far.
Why?
Orange.
Why did you choose that as your favorite
That's
color?
the wrong color.
I don't know if I chose it or if it chose me type of thing, but like I love the taste of oranges.
The wand chooses the wizard.
And,
thing,
and
always.
Steve, but also orange
Oh,
to
that
me
wand,
is a
right.
very comforting, warm,
Yeah.
safe,
But why
safe
do you like
place.
that? Why don't you like exciting or maybe
I do. It just
cool?
happens to be my favorite color.
Yeah.
You know, like black isn't really a color, correct? But I like the color
It's a
black
color.
a lot.
It's a shade,
Yeah.
technically.
Yeah,
but
right. It's
whatever.
not really a color, but like you know,
all the
I like
colors? None of them?
almost
almost a version of every color.
I like green screen green, but I never get to see it.
It's like burned into your retina. It's the green. Poor chat never gets to see the green
you guys,
screen.
if you knew what room we're sitting in right now, we are literally in a green screen, 3D room, floor and walls. It's like, yeah, you're crazy, Steve. You're crazy.
Ah, there you go. There. This is what
Thank
Jay
you.
and Steve
Don't
are saying.
say-
See,
shame
I
me.
think Grimbeard, out of all these people, he's the one that gets me the most. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, we think about it, guys. It's a cool thing to think about and explore as you
I'm
go
sure
through
I
your
didn't
life
see
for the
that.
next few days. What things do you really get to pick that you like? Go for it. I will leave you with that.
Thank
try.
you
You
so
can
much.
cultivate more sophisticated palates, more sophisticated
But by
tastes.
default, we come with opinions by default, and there's an endless amount of them, Steve.
Yeah.
If you had the time, I could put enough shoes in front of you where it could just go on forever.
I would get sick of picking shit.
But do you understand what I'm saying? Like we have these algorithms in our head.
Yeah,
However you
but,
want to
they,
describe
but they
them.
also do change.
Sure.
Yeah.
But at the moment,
You get used to things.
I can't go boom. All of a sudden, I like high top sneakers from the '70s. I do like those, by the way. But I can't change my mind on that. It's just cooked into me. It is
Here-
who I am.
Here's
I
an
don't know.
advanced taste for Steve. Here, this one you should try: pineapple kimchi, anchovy pizza with gorgonzola.
All right, on that,
feel like
I'm
that's-
stepping
no,
out.
That's poison.
All
I
right.
feel like that's everything
I'll see
Steve
you
hates.
tonight.
Yes.
We're good with my news item. Ian,
Huh?
I forgot to bring your hat. Sorry.
Okay, fine.
And we will not
You
be here,
son
guys.
of-
We will not be here until
Till next year.
Yeah, till
next
January.
year, so
I'm
guten
thinking
Tag.
maybe not even the first week. Yeah, maybe the first week of January.
Well, the
Feliz
first,
Navidad.
it'll be the first Wednesday of January because New Year's Eve is Wednesday.
yeah.
right.
Okay,
So
so it's got to be
the
that the
first-
next
The
one.
8th.
Yeah.
The
So
first
take a
is
break.
a
Is it the
Tuesday?
8th?
No, the second is a Tuesday. So whatever. It'll be,
Whatever.
So
Olivia, you know me too well. Yeah, I will stay to argue. Anyway, have a great weekend, guys. Have a wonderful holiday.
The 2nd is a Thursday, actually, and then
yeah.
the 8th is it's Wednesday after the 1st.
So yeah,
That
so
makes
the
sense.
8th. So Wednesday the 8th will be
Right.
our next Wednesday live stream.
Correct.
Now, I know that everyone around the world
Might
that
do a-
listens to this doesn't have a
That's
holiday
fine.
coming up. The U.S. has a big holiday. There's
This is kind of
New
a
Year's.
holiday season
There is.
for many cultures.
But for those
I
of
mean,
you who
Christians stole it from the pagans.
absolutely.
They actually appropriated all the elements that we think of as Christian, like bringing a tree into that home. You think that's a Christian tradition?
No, definitely not.
And Hanukkah's
But for-
after the 1st, and Bob keeps talking about it.
Largely
It's a
for those of
crazy
you who are
time.
going to be
We're living
buying
in crazy
presents for
times.
people, if you're buying presents for people and you're doing all that stuff, right, and wherever you are, please do go buy some toys for kids that don't, that family don't have the money. There's lots of places you can donate it. I think the best thing to do is give it to a family that you might know.
Or buy them a science book like the Skeptic's Guide.
That also, that's a great idea. Get them some books. Kids love books.
Yes.
So books
Love
are a
Can
great thing
enrich
to do.
their environment,
Yeah.
enrich their intellectual
But
environment.
please do that. I think again, we can change the world just by being nice to people and doing nice things. I mean that's a huge factor in our reality. When somebody does something nice to me, or I mean, I was talking to someone about this going through drive-throughs. Right, I study people through drive-through. I go to Dunkin' Donuts, we grab a coffee,
Yeah.
whatever. For the most part, those people are not that very nice. And I'll tell you why. Because they don't like the job. Nobody wants to do that shit. I get it. But every once in a while, I come across a super friendly person, and it actually makes me happy.
yeah,
So I think we can affect each other by doing kind things.
sure.
I will leave you with that. Happy Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy every holiday,
Happy
and
Festivus.
Happy New
Festivus
Year.
for the rest of
Talk
us.
to you guys soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, JC, talk to you
So
soon.
we're going to do some TikToks, everybody, so
TikTok.
stick around.
All right, Ian, I'll see you, brother.
Okay, goodbye.
All right,
Enjoy
I'm
my
gonna
hat.
I'm gonna roll some of my SGU branded dice. While Ian, I'm gonna roll all of them. And then this is basically jewelry for nerds. That's the little shiny little pretty baubles that we play with that are socially acceptable to male nerds. All right.
There's a funny TikToker who does roll for sandwich. And so he has like a list of sandwich ingredients, and then he rolls a D20 for
Okay.
all these different things. It's pretty funny. And he ends up some maybe horrendous sandwich
Yeah. Okay, if you have
combinations.
enough choices in there, some
Yeah.
mutually incompatible. Yeah.
But some of them are funny. Anyway, let us move on to some no dice results. Yeah, I don't know.
What are you
Dean.
looking for?
What are you looking? What are you trying to do? We got to DM this situation. Let me hit the TikTok
I
button.
need
There
to
we go.
remind myself of a chemical name for one of these.
Ah,
things.
yes. Oh, yeah.
Calcium propionate.
Propionate.
Calcium propionate.
Propionate. The money that guy must spend on deli meats. Some of them are weird. He has like bread
Olive
also
loaf?
as a central. Yeah, he did like a bread sandwich, like a toasted
Okay.
bread inside of.
I mean,
bread
I could do
spread.
that if I could constrain the list of potential ingredients to things
We
that I
could
could
do
eat
that. That'd be
individually,
fun.
and then it's just really like if you have like mustard, I can't eat anything with mustard on.
No,
it.
yeah,
Or
or blue
anchovies,
cheese or any of that
or
kind
blue
of stuff that you don't
cheese.
like. But we could do like a
Yeah, there's
reasonable
tons of ingredients that I will eat,
Mm-hmm.
and,
But
I
mixed
would,
together, they might be.
yeah, like I
weird.
would eat peanut butter,
Uh-huh.
and I would eat ham, but
Right.
I probably wouldn't eat peanut butter on ham unless I was
Uh-huh.
forced to.
with tomato
At least I never have.
and cinnamon raisin bread.
On cinnamon raisin bun.
Yeah, bun.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one did you want to do first?
I don't know. Whatever, hit me.
Let's hit me.
I'm looking at this camera. This camera. This
that
camera.
camera.
This
There it
camera. All right,
is.
There it is.
Yes.
The thing is, I can't look at the screen and the camera at the same time.
I know.
So when I look at the screen, I've looked away from the camera.
We're gonna get one of those over the camera screens so
Yeah.
you can see. Because one of the videos you were looking off screen, but it's fine. You're looking at yourself.
I know. It's yeah.
It's a habit to stare at yourself while you're.
Yeah.
There is a fun little app
it's-
that makes your eyes like forces it to the camera, but it is kind of weird because it like overlays a fake eyes on top of your
Why don't I do
eyes.
LASIK? I don't need glasses normally. I need reading glasses.
Yeah, close up.
So you could, I think they do. They're looking to do LASIK for reading glasses, but they basically just do like the lower half of your eye. So it's like you constantly have bifocals on. Why do I
That's
want
weird.
that? Yeah. No.
feel like
My
that's really
vision's
weird.
perfect for anything other than reading close up.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason to do that then. Okay, so let's do this. We got that there and this there. Okay, very good. Oh, let me stop this.
No, that's fine.
recording.
Diamond battery.
Diamond battery first.
From December 2024.
Oh,
The reporting here is just so predictably awful.
yeah. Even they should have known. What were they doing? Clearly, they're not listening to Skeptic's Guide.
Clearly.
Clearly.
Nor did they spend 5 minutes on Google to see if the
Oh,
bullshit they
right.
were saying was true or not.
Even that. All right, here we go.
Your longest lasting battery. You might have one in a watch or a TV remote control that's kept going for more than a year or so. Well, British scientists have topped that and then some by inventing a power source that could last thousands of years. The secret is to squeeze a little bit of atomic energy into a diamond. Sounds tricky. Our science correspondent Martin Stew has been to see how it's done.
I figure that's all we really need, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll link the article or the video. All right, we're rolling.
Yeah, the reporting here is pretty bad. They go on to say that this has never been done before. That's not true. They talk about replacing lithium-ion batteries or alkaline batteries. That's never going to happen. So the diamond nuclear battery thing is not new. This has been around for a while. Nuclear batteries have been around for decades. And the idea is pretty simple. It's basically you're capturing radioactivity, like the photovoltaic effect, like you would capture photons in order to generate an electric current, right? Sounds simple, and it works, and you can do it. We have them. They are functioning. These have existed for a long period of time. So that isn't new at all. But what is new is using diamonds to do that. But again, that's not new to this study. This has been done. I've been reading about diamond nuclear batteries for years. We've reported about it on the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe years ago. There's every time somebody does some study or makes some incremental whatever with it, you get the same reporting. This is going to be replacing your batteries that last thousands of years. All right, there's a couple of problems with this, with this as a general technology. For niche applications, sure, like if you're sending a probe into deep space and you need batteries that will last for a super long time, we do use nuclear batteries. That's kind of one of the technologies we use for things like that. But is your cell phone going to have a nuclear diamond battery in it, replacing the lithium-ion battery that's in there now? No, don't hold your breath for that. A couple of things about this. One is that, let's talk about energy density. The amount of energy for the volume, or specific energy, which is the amount of energy for the mass, which is actually a better measure here. The specific energy for a nuclear battery is directly proportional to the amount of energy that it could put out at any one time, because we're talking about the half-life of whatever nuclear material. Here they're talking about carbon-14. They say it has a half-life of about 5,000 years. So in 5,000 years, your battery will be half as strong as it is today. But they don't tell you that it produces a negligible amount of current. Why? Because it's only, in order for that half-life to last 5,000 years, to have a 5,000-year half-life, you have to have very rare, radioactivity, right? You're not putting out a lot of radioactivity. If it was producing a lot of radioactivity, the half-life would be shorter. So that's your choice. A short half-life with a lot of current, or a long half-life with very little current. And the longer the half-life, the less the current that it's going to generate. There's no way around that. It's math. And this all directly relates to mass, right? Because the half-life is like how many nuclear decay events are we going to have per amount of molecules, per mass, basically. So you just can't get around this. So this little wafer of diamond with some little bit of carbon-14 in there, I guarantee you, is generating a teeny tiny itty-bitty amount of electricity. That's not going to be something that can power your cell phone. If you want a huge, massive battery to power your cell phone, then this technology might work. Or if you don't care if it lasts for only 1 year instead of 5,000 years. But if you want it to last 5,000 years, you would need a refrigerator, to power your cell phone or something like that. So it's not going to work for that reason. The other thing is, it's kind of hard to make these elements, to make the radioactive elements that they want to use, like carbon-14. They're expensive, so this is not the kind of thing we're going to be mass producing anytime soon. So there are some technology limitations here, like the ability to mass produce the proper radioactive material. But there's really a physics limitation here. This technology works, but it just generates a teeny tiny amount of electricity. Again, this is good if you're sending a probe to the edges of the solar system and you only need a little bit of electricity, but for a really long time, and you can have a battery that weighs 10 pounds or whatever. But this is not going to replace the lithium-ion battery in your smartphone. It's not going to happen.
Okay, very good. Okay.
The reporting is just so lazy.
Diamond battery. Yeah, I know. But how they gonna get the clicks?
They've done it for the first time, Ian, except for all the other times that they've already done it over the last 50 years.
Right, well, but that doesn't sound as good. They've done for the 37th time. Well.
This is why people think that scientists are liars, right?
Yeah.
Or
'Cause the media.
weren't we supposed to have nuclear diamond batteries? What happened to them? Physics is what happened to them.
Yeah.
Bad science
Reality.
reporting.
Some dumb bastard. Okay.
What's the best all-around battery at the moment for what?
I don't know. Yeah,
For
that's a
what
good question.
purpose?
For what?
If you're looking for grid storage, you want something that is cheap and easy to produce. You
Like
don't
the
care if it's
material?
heavy or big. If you want something in your car, you want something with the biggest energy, specific energy, and reasonable energy density. You also like it for it not to break into flames.
Wait.
That's also nice.
Oh yeah, that's built.
Yeah. There's lots of different parameters, and it depends on your function, right? So there's like how much power can it put out, how long, how much energy can it store, how many charge discharge cycles can it last, how stable is it in different environments, hot and cold. And all these things, energy, specific energy versus how again, you can make a fantastic battery out of platinum, great, good for you, but it's so expensive that you can never going to be again in everybody's cell phone.
Yeah.
So it's like, what materials is it made out of? So you got to balance all of those features and decide which features are optimal for a specific application. If we're talking electric vehicles, right now the cutting edge I think is silicon anode lithium-ion batteries. Those are now being used more in electric planes, but by 2027, I think we'll be seeing them in our electric vehicles, and they have about twice the energy density and specific energy as the current batteries that are in, say, a Tesla. If you buy a Tesla, or maybe from like a year ago, and now that they're always incrementally improving still. So anyway, that's a short answer to a deceptively complicated question.
All right, so we got this next one. Bada bing. Talking dogs.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, here we go. Stand by. Oops. I muted it.
A new study was just published today focusing on communicating with pet dogs via those little button boards, and it's actually really interesting, so let's talk about it. This is the study right here. Soundboard trained dogs produce non-accidental, non-random, and non-imitative two-button combination. The researchers did a statistical analysis on almost 200,000 different soundboard interactions, and the findings suggested that they weren't random and they weren't just imitating the owners. The dogs were actually combining different words to communicate with their owner. It's interesting because the results show that the needs, that's the thing they're communicating most. Going outside, getting food, and then you can see the dark blue stuff up here like poop. That was talked about less. The researchers wanted to look to see whether we could improve our ability to understand our dogs and communicate with our dogs using these soundboards. And they
That's good.
Yeah,
It's more than enough.
Yeah, I'll cut it down. All right, here we go. All right, we're all.
Bottom line, I just don't buy it. If you look at the study, what they're talking about, if you could see videos of this online, people get the soundboard, then their dogs press on the different sounds to communicate to the owner what it wants. Does it want to go outside? Does it need to take a poop? Does it want its toy? Does it want to eat food? Does it just want to say, I love you to the owner? Whatever. And I've watched many, many of these videos. I'm not convinced by a single one of them that dog is actually doing any kind of real communication or understands what they're doing. Some are at the really blatant end of the spectrum where the dog is just does appear to be randomly just hitting whatever's in front of them. And the owner's doing all the cognitive work here. The owner is making sense of whatever the dog is doing. right? And of course there's only whatever 20 buttons there. They're all doggy related. It'd be almost impossible for the dog not to hit one of those buttons that doesn't relate to things that dogs want or do. You know what I mean? Like there's no literature button or whatever. There's no button there that is a non sequitur that doesn't make sense for the dog. It's all toy, food, outside, love. It's all things that are related to your relationship with the dog. What this study is doing is just looking at a ton of these interactions and saying, is it random? Or is it just imitative? And they say at a population level, it doesn't appear to be either random or imitative. So, all right, I buy that dogs are just not imitating what their owners are doing. But I also buy that it's not entirely random, because random would mean that there's an equal probability of hitting any button. I think probably the buttons are not randomly distributed, and meaning that it's probably more likely for the dog to hit some buttons than the other ones. Also, I'm also willing to acknowledge that dogs are smart animals. They're very attuned to their human owners. They sort of evolved, a huge neuronal density in order to be able to be socially very aware of their owners, and they understand a lot of words that people say, and this has all been pretty well established. And they also the whole Pavlovian response, right, was done in dogs. They can learn to associate certain behaviors with certain actions. So I'm willing to believe that some dogs may know that if they hit certain buttons, that good things happen. They get taken outside, or they get a treat or whatever. For that reason, I buy that at a population level, it's not random. That doesn't mean that at an individual level, any individual dog is like strategically using specific buttons or specific combination of buttons because to produce a specific outcome, meaning that it's using it to communicate in the way that we think of as communication. Now, this is coming, on top of decades and decades of research into animal communication. You could even go back all the way to Clever Hans with this, the horse who the owner believed could do math and could read and could interpret tables, whatever, could do all these things. And it turns out he was just subconsciously communicating to the horse. Now, the horse was looking at taking cues from the owner, and the owner would basically cue the horse when to stop. And then the horse was able to get the same cues from the audience. So the owner didn't even have to be there. However, if there was no human being present who knew what the right answer was, the horse's ability ended. It could not do anything. So clearly his performance was based entirely on just getting cues from the humans that were present. How do we know that that's not happening now? Right? How do we know this isn't more cue-based? That's not the same thing as imitation. It's more cue-based, or it could just be learned pattern of behavior. That's different than understanding how to use language, what words mean, and being able to strategically use them. I would take a lot more convincing that dogs are communicating with these soundboards, especially based on the videos that I've seen, than this population level data looking at 200,000 or whatever interactions. Yeah, it's not entirely statistically random or whatever. That's not enough. That doesn't establish that dogs are communicating. This is mostly owners deceiving themselves. And it's really obvious that that's happening when you look at these videos.
Very good. Dog communication. Let me put that in this one too. There we go. All right. Let us move on to the next one, which is bread. You remember that chemical?
Yeah, it's calcium propionate.
Calcium propionate. Attend to
I'm
me,
pretty
human.
sure it says.
Cats. Yes, I know. Cats versus dogs. Cats could have done it.
Propionate. Cats are dumb.
Cats are dumb. I know.
No, they're not dumb. I like cats.
They're sweet. They can
Dogs
be
are
sweet.
smarter, though.
Yeah.
Dogs have significantly greater neuronal density than cats do. I think because they're way more socialized than cats are. Yeah.
That's why they can appear dumber. Because they're so smart.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
they're just goofy.
They just don't give a shit.
Yeah. Right. All right, here we go. Oh.
3 different companies, all expired bread. None of them have mold. We'll start with this one, August the 2nd, 2024. It literally was never used. Has the in piece. None of it is molded. Still soft. The Sunbeam is October the 2nd, 2024. Some of it had been used. We'll take some out from the middle. None of it is molded. Still soft. Sara Lee is October the 15th. Some of it was used. Now this is the honey wheat. Still soft. None molded. This is disgusting.
It's got a lot of bread. I was like, all right, we're rolling.
So I don't understand. Does she want mold on her bread? Is the lack of mold disgusting? I mean, obviously the point here, and if you read the comments, people are like, oh, we're not eating real food. This food is so artificial, it doesn't even mold. Come on, that's not what's happening here. So if you buy bread in the store, yes, it does have preservatives on it in order to delay getting moldy. This is a good way to improve the shelf life of bread, and so that you're not throwing away half your bread because it goes moldy before you could use it, right? This is a food saving and health measure. What do we do to reduce the molding of bread, or delay how long it takes before bread will tend to get moldy? The main preservative that is used is called calcium propionate, and this is, an organic chemical that is an organic in the real chemistry way, not in like the fake organic way, that is reducing mold spores from, and also bacteria. So it's kind of it makes the food safer for both mold and bacteria. And it delays the molding of bread by 10 days. They say, so you could basically increase the shelf life to 10 days. So, you buy a loaf of bread, you have a week to use it basically before it goes bad. I've had bread go moldy very quickly. I've had some other bread, again, all store-bought that lasts way beyond that point. It's variable. It also depends on what condition you store it in. You do want to keep it in an airtight environment. I always like to squeeze out the extra air before I close it off. I also feel if I keep it in a bread box, it lasts longer. I think it's just another layer of protection there. So you could put it in the refrigerator. That also will extend its shelf life a bit, although that tends to change, the bread a little bit. I don't like it when it's too refrigerated. So is calcium propionate safe? Completely. It's actually one of the few things that we add to food where there's really no issue here. This is not the kind of thing you should be fear-mongering about. It's been studied by the FDA, by the World Health Organization, by the UN, by other countries, given to, even in high doses in animals and studied epidemiologically. There really is zero signal here. There is no reason to think that there's any health effect whatsoever from this. So the FDA considers it generally regarded as safe, or GRAS, that's one of their designations. After studying it extensively, it's completely safe. There's nothing there to worry about. Mold, eating mold would be worse for you than eating a little bit of calcium propionate. This is just naked fear mongering. This is our food isn't real or isn't natural kind of theme. This is very, very common on TikTok and other social media. It's not based upon any real understanding of how this sort of things work. It's a lot of what we call chemophobia. It's like there's chemicals in there, therefore you should be. It's not real, and you should be afraid of it. There's chemicals in everything. Everything is chemicals, right? Read the list of ingredients under any fruit, for example, an avocado or a peach or a banana. Are avocados fruit or are they vegetables? I don't know. We'll leave that to another video. You'll see a long list of chemicals, because stuff is made up of chemicals. But anyway, the only real thing that really matters is the chemical safe? Has it been properly tested? In this case, this is like, nobody bans this. It's completely safe. It's been researched to death. It delays mold, and it's a good thing. There's no reason to fearmonger about it. Interestingly, people are working on other techniques to even further delay molding of bread. There is one technique which exposes the bread to microwaves at a specific frequency that delays the mold spores for 60 days. So now this could extend the shelf life of bread from 10 days to 60 days. But then, of course, then people will complain that their food isn't real because it could last for 60 days. No, it's just preserved. We just killed the mold spores or delayed their spreading for 60 days, and that's a good thing. That doesn't make the food fake. It makes it safe. It also is very, very good for not wasting food. We waste, a third of the food that we produce because this sort of stuff happens. How much bread have you thrown out in your life because it went moldy? Imagine if we could delay that process for 60 days. I mean, you'd be throwing out very little bread if that were the case. It's a good thing. Don't worry about it.
All right.
I'm upset, Ian, because my bread isn't moldy.
Mold, I know. It's like people complain that their bread did mold over, and now we're complaining that the bread doesn't mold over. It's like nobody can win.
I have bread that lasts for 10 days.
Yeah. Plus, you can buy other bread. Like, don't buy sliced bread then if you want.
Yeah.
Just like buy bakery bread.
Yeah, the bakery
That'll
bread
mold
does
over.
not last for that long.
Yeah,
It lasts typically
hard
it gets hard after. Although it depends on what kind of bread you buy. There are some that like the softer breads.
Yeah.
So they also have ingredients that will retain the moisture and that will keep it from going hard.
That's
So
true.
if you put that in there, those are fine too.
Plus, if they go stale, then you just make something that you got to like French onion soup.
Yeah,
something, you know what I mean?
or
Put it
I
in
just feed it to the boys.
Feed to the boys.
Put it on the shelf.
Avocado is a fruit, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
And also, vegetables, I think technically are not a science term, right? It's
Well,
just like a broad category.
It's
or
a broad
something?
category. There's botanical and culinary.
Yeah, right.
Right. So
That's
like
true.
tomatoes are a
Botanically,
botanical fruit
right.
and a culinary vegetable.
Right. Like peanuts are a
Right. They're a
nut, but
culinary nut,
They're a legume.
but they're actually legumes. Yes.
Legume. It's not edible after 3 days max, though. Yeah. I mean, I started making my own bread, which is good. If anybody wants a good bread recipe, look up Pan de Cristal. It's awesome. It takes a while, but it's like, it's not a sourdough. It's pretty easy to do, but it tastes really good. But it lasts like a day. But then again, you got to eat it. So
yeah, because we don't put preservatives in.
Right. All right. Anything else before we bounce? This is going to be the end of the year.
This is it. Last
This is
chance
it.
for any
Yeah,
questions for me.
questions before Happy New
Let's
Year
see.
and everything goes
I will
crazy.
stay for an extra
Yes, however many.
7 minutes or 7
minutes.
questions.
Upcoming
the dice
shows,
do not lie.
these
I'm
two.
slave to the dice.
These are no longer upcoming shows. This is the upcoming show.
We only have one
Not a
upcoming show
con.
right now. That's not a con in May.
That's right. Well, we may have some other.
We may.
private
I
shows,
don't know if
stuff.
we're gonna. Yeah, we have to talk about the
Loading.
20-year thing because May 5th, 2025, we will have
50
completed
with you.
20 years of the SGU.
It's true.
20 years. We've already passed 1,000 episodes, but 20 years is something. And then so we should do something for
Prediction
that.
for
We should do something
2025.
special. Predictions for 2025.
Yikes.
We have our predictions episode coming out.
Oh, yeah.
In the first episode in January is always our predictions episode, but those are more fun, not serious predictions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. Predicting the future is kind of a pseudoscience.
Tricky. But you know what you should predict? Buying the Skeptic's Guide to the Future book.
Yes.
And then you can see some stuff.
It's like I
about
don't like
the
to predict the
future.
future, so I wrote a whole book about predicting the future. But the book is mainly about how you
That
can't
part is
predict the
crazy,
future.
Yeah.
You can't predict it. You can extrapolate, but even that is fraught, and you have to. All you could say is what's possible, and maybe plausible, but you can't say what's going to happen because there's just way too many variables.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
It's
whatever.
like climate and weather.
Yeah.
Like we could say it's going to get colder this winter and it'll warm up sometime in the spring. Like we could say there are trends that you could say, but you can't say it's going to rain on December 23rd. You can't make very specific predictions about details. We could say, yeah, I predict that computers will get more powerful, smaller, with more memory. Yeah, of course, who can't predict that? But saying exactly which technology we're going to be using to accomplish that becomes trickier.
What was it? What is the next SGU book about? I don't know if we're saying.
Well, Bob and I are actually in the throes of developing our next book, and we know what it's going to be about, but I'm reluctant to talk about it until we actually get
let's just
approval
wait.
from the publisher. So the publisher hasn't bought it yet. So when they do, or if they do, and we have like a contract saying yes, we're going to make then we will announce this is when we're writing this book. We're not just thinking about it if the publisher wants to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
We need a year count for the use of Gestalt.
Gestalt.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go right ahead.
Go right. Thank you.
So by the way, we need to. We'll probably announce this on the show tonight, but send us email at info@theskepticsguide.org
Mhm.
your vote
Year.
for the best bit on the SGU, the best
right.
episode, your favorite interview,
Mhm.
your the most interesting science item, the worst pseudoscientist of the year, the best skeptic of the year.
Yeah, we're
all
gonna
of
post
those.
that same
Yeah.
thing.
So email us all of those things. We will collate that and we will talk about it on our year-end
That's right.
episode.
It'll
which-
also be on Patreon. I think we'll
Yeah.
probably do that. As a
Yeah,
form.
we have to do that in all the things. We should have been doing this a little bit earlier. We're a little
Yeah.
bit late in doing this, but yeah. So please do that if you listen to the SGU, you want to give us any feedback, just any random observations. Oh, I remember this one quote made me laugh. Send it to us. We'll put all that together to do our year-end show, which is always a lot of fun.
What does the Novella family eat for Christmas dinner?
So it depends. And you're talking about back in the day when we were all kids with our primary
That's a good
nuclear
question.
family, or today.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Christmas Day was at our mother's house, Mama, and that was with my father's end of the family, and that was an Italian dinner. That
Yeah.
was Mama's ravioli, Mama's meatballs. She would also make this savory chicken dish that was amazing, stuffed peppers, like Italian stuffed peppers, and then lots of other stuff, right? But that was Christmas Day dinner. Now we typically do similar kind of like an Italian dinner, lasagna or some other pasta. There may be a meat dish thrown in there. Like the turkey dinner kind of thing, that's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll do like a meat-based dish Christmas Eve and then a pasta-based dish as the main thing. For Christmas Day, whatever. And also, now that we all have our own families, we like tend to split up more. So like, I do either Thanksgiving at my mother-in-law's and then Christmas home, and then every year we flip-flop it. So I'm only in Connecticut. I'm only with the rest of my family for every other Christmas, and my siblings do that too. Some pattern, they don't all do the same thing. So we're not always all together for every one of those holidays. Although eventually all of our in-laws will die, and then we'll be back to just all doing it together. We'll see how that's a moving target. But the Dubai lectures, I don't own the Dubai lectures. That was 9 hours skeptical seminar owned by the
Yeah.
Dubai Future, whatever organization. So that
Yeah, they may announce.
yeah,
We'll
I
let
don't
you
know. I don't know if that ever will be online.
Yeah.
But
if so, we'll probably talk about it on the live stream. We may even watch some of it if they have it. Yeah. In my family's tradition to eat something very simple on purpose on Christmas, like potato salad and hot dogs. Oh, okay.
Now, again, when we were younger, Christmas Eve, there was this weird tradition in Catholicism that you don't eat meat on Friday.
That's right.
You remember that? So it was always fish on
Fish.
Friday, which I hate fish, so I always
Yeah.
hated Fridays. But we would just have something else non-meat related, like pasta or whatever.
Sure.
But for some reason, Christmas Eve was treated like a Friday.
Right.
So we always had fish on Christmas Eve. Right. So it was fish on Christmas Eve and lasagna or ravioli or something massively Italian on Christmas Day. And now we don't like the whole no fish on Friday thing is completely gone away.
Yeah.
So now we have almost whatever on Christmas Eve, whatever, the real one tradition, and then, some kind of meat in Italian food on Christmas Day.
And now nobody does the Feast of Seven Fishes that much anymore. That was the thing. I like that, but I like seafood. So, all right. Let's see. Any other questions? You're eating the dog. No. I'm working at Christmas. Barforama.
I'm working on
Sorry,
Christmas
that's
this year
right.
too.
Yes,
I am working Christmas Day.
So you're in the hospital the next couple weeks, right?
2 weeks. And that's why we're not doing live.
weeks.
The next 2
Yeah.
weeks, I'm covering the inpatient service.
Yeah. Do you do trees for Xmas? I do.
Yes, I do. We have a live tree upstairs.
Oh, and here's
in
a
our house.
question: how do Americans do more artificial Christmas trees or
85% Americans do 85% artificial.
Artificial. Around
yeah.
here, it's real Christmas trees. We went and cut one down. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think real Christmas trees are more environmentally friendly, actually, because they're not plastic.
I
and-
bet that's true too.
Yeah,
The
people you're
overall
cutting down
lifespan.
trees. Yeah, yeah.
It regrows.
It regrows. Yeah, it's like you're cutting down those broccoli plants. Yeah, we'll plant more.
Yeah, they're
you know?
not a lot of. I mean, they're not.
It's
big
not
trees.
old
They're
growth.
like,
It's not like
yeah.
there's animals living in the,
Right.
Christmas tree farm. You
It's
know,
like a bug, maybe.
Yeah, it's a crop. It's
Yeah.
basically a crop. You grow them, you cut them down, you put them in your house, you throw them away. You know, it's
Yeah.
fine, and it's
They
all
decompose.
It's all recyclable.
Part of the cycle.
Yeah.
In the UK, it's fresh fish fry. Well, that's because you're Protestants. That's why we had to. That's why you had to separate yourselves. We're having fish on Friday.
The UK,
boys.
the Church of England is fake Catholic.
Yeah,
it's
right.
basically Catholic
light with
but no
divorce.
Pope. Yeah, they just don't want. Yeah,
with one divorce or 7. How many divorces did he? Or beheadings, whatever. Rather sparsely a dog for here. Yeah, it's artificials apparently, which is funny. Which makes sense, you know. It's like a lot of weird climates in America. You can't grow a Christmas tree or evergreen in Arizona. All right, I think that is it. Thank you all for being here. We will see you. I don't know if we're doing a Friday live stream. We might.
I don't know. I might have something to do on Friday.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, no promises.
There might be maybe the Friday live stream will happen before the next Wednesday live stream at the beginning of the year, but we'll see. We'll keep you posted. Stay tuned. Listen to the show. Come to Nauticon.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
That stuff.
Send us those recommendations for the end of the year show.
Yes.
Otherwise, we'll see everybody in January.
Yes. Bye.
Thanks, Ian.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.